What's up, everybody? This is the Action Figure Grader, and today we're going to look at loose graded vintage Star Wars items. I think most of these are AFA graded, and then at the end I actually got some non-Star Wars items that I wanted to show you that AFA/CIB sold. They had some first shot prototypes from the Superpowers line, the DC Superpowers line, which I loved growing up. I love those so much, and I know a lot of you do too. I know Matthew, who's a Patreon supporter and a good buddy of mine, he's got a nice collection of those. I wanted to bid on those first shot prototypes so badly. I really did. But I didn't want to go down another rabbit hole. And I've got a question for you guys as we dig into these, because I need some feedback from you as it relates to a seller that I've never bought from, but I want to buy from. I've bid on a few of the items that I'll show you here. And I just want to make sure that this seller's legit, and I'll dig into that. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. Please consider subscribing. Please leave a like on this video, as it does help out the channel. I really just, if you're new, I just cover price guides. That's really it. I show you what I buy, and then I do price guides. And occasionally I do something a little off the wall, like, you know, a guest or something like that. So that's really all this channel is to try and help you guys spend your money wisely and get a better sense of what prices are as you add to your collection. All right. Here was LJ's Card Shop. This is a seller I have bought from and been very happy with. I got my Bossk Revenge of the Jedi proof card from this seller. And he had an older case style AFA 75 vinyl Cape Jawa. Was curious to see where this one would go. We've had a lot of higher grade ones that have sold over the last 6 months or so. UKG 90s, AFA 85s, kind of all over the place. And this was the first 75 I've seen. And you can see why it got this 75. It had a little tear right there on the shoulder on the vinyl cape. So that's what held the value back on the score, most likely, was that tear to the cape. Usually when you get a tear or like around the armhole, it's automatic 75 at best. If it's a big tear, a really noticeable structural tear, it's going to drop it to a 70 or below. This one just had a nick, but unfortunately that will drop it to a 75 every single time. $15.26 was the final sales price on that, and that seems to be about right to me. We've seen AFA 85s and UKG 90s go anywhere from, let's call it $3,000 to $3,500. So obvious discount just given the grade and the older case style. But that was a nice example. I thought that was a pretty fair price. All right, I bid on this one. Now, I have a question for those of you that have maybe bought from this seller. He always has these weird photos where he shows the item and then he blanks out everything else out around it. And this seller has like 277,000 transactions on eBay, but they're all like electronics related, like video games or, you know, anything kind of related to electronics. And so he started listing loose graded vintage Star Wars figures. And I've seen a few of them sell over the last few weeks, and some of them we're going to cover here coming up. But I was just curious, has anyone bought from this seller before? And have you had good success with this seller? I've tried to check the feedback from his other loose graded sales, and none of the feedback shows up. I found one for one mint on card Klaatu or something like that. It was not graded. But I haven't seen any of these loose graded items that I'm showing you here, and there's been some past ones as well that have sold where we've gotten positive feedback. So I'm a little hesitant to really jump in full force on some of these auctions, but I did bid on a couple of them. Both of them I finished either second or well below for another item I'll show you in a second. But if you've bought from goldstar_tech, can you let me know? And if you've had a good experience. If you've had a bad experience, I want to know that too. So leave a comment. This was a CAS 85 Plus ESBC tape sealed baggie for Greedo. I've got a baggie for Hammerhead. I've got two baggies for Walrus Man, but I don't have any baggies for Greedo. And I thought this would be a nice addition. I bid 180. I was outbid at 182.50. So I finished second on that one. It's probably worth more than 182.50 because it's an 85 plus, but I was just kind of throwing a haphazard last second bid on there just to see if I would get it or not. But it did sell 182.50. Wicket Warwick AFA 85 new case style. That one sold for 148.50. I thought that was a very fair price. That's again a price I'd pay with a new case. Here's the other one I bid on. I was way low, and I think I mentioned I was going to bid on this in a different video. I don't know if it's aired yet, but this was an AFA 85 Plus EV99, and it sold for $460. I think my bid was $380. So I didn't expect to win it, because really for an 85 plus, it's probably in the fours. I mean, it's got to be in the fours, right? I've seen them go for more than that. I mean, an AFA 90 sold a few months ago for about $700. So I was thinking, okay, well, maybe this goes low. I don't know anything about this seller. So I threw out a bid. I threw out $380. I wasn't even close. It sold at $460, which is probably about right, if not even a little bit low relative to, what it is. It's an 85 plus EV99. Very nice figure. They had a bunch of last 17. This seller had a ton. Here was an 85 General Lando new case style that sold for $356. Again, probably about right. I probably wouldn't personally spin that, but I've seen some loose complete examples ungraded go for 300 plus. So it's probably about right. I'm just trying to figure out what I'd be willing to spend, and it wouldn't be that. 182.50 on an AFA 80 plus Imperial Dignitary. I always zoom in on loose graded Imperial Dignitaries. No nose rub on this one. So something else held the score back on this one. It's not like a figure that really got a lot of play from kids. But this one was in pretty good shape. I don't know what, it must have been some kind of scuff on the purple robe. Otherwise looks very clean. That one sold $182.50 again. The other one I was tempted to bid on was this Amanaman AFA 85. This same seller, I think, also had an 85 plus that sold in the 470s, if memory serves. But he also did list this one, which was an 85 grade, new case style, 405. And I think I forgot about, I was tempted to bid on this, and I was kind of focused on the EV99. So I let that one go. And of course I won neither one. Here is an 80 grade Imperial Gunner. That one sold for $327.80. And again, probably about right, given that a loose complete one goes anywhere from, I'd say on the low end, 280 to like 320. It got the 80 because of the belt buckle rub and maybe some rub on the shoulder emblem. Let's see, does that shoulder emblem look good? Only showed one side, but both shoulder items look pretty good on that one. It's probably just the belt buckle rub and maybe something else, but very clean example. Surprised it only got an 80. Next up was an 85 grade Barada that sold for $190.50. I've seen them go lower, and I've seen them go higher. So $190, I mean, that's a price I'd probably pay. 80 plus grade Yak Face, new case style. That one sold for $535. I mean, just given what 85s go for, $800 to $900, just to get one half grade lower to get it for $535. That's a pretty good deal. That's a pretty good deal. That's a price I'd pay. This was the other one I was tempted on. I didn't bid on. It was kind of just, these photos are so weird. I can't get past the kind of cutout. So, the lighting's not great. So you don't know if it's shadows or is it yellowing to the figure. I don't know. But the figure himself around the shoulders just looked a little off enough that I didn't want to pull the trigger on it. But it got the 85 grade, but the shoulders look a little yellow to me. It's, again, it could be lighting. It just bad photos. They're not great photos. $735, that's a lot lower than where we've seen it sell. So maybe the market agrees with me that maybe it's on the lower end of an 85 grade, or it has yellowed since grading. On to some more common items from a seller I'm more comfortable or recognize. He always has 85 grade, kind of more common items, but this was just a standard Hong Kong Boba Fett, as we've talked about in a last loose graded video. AFA now denotes for the Hong Kong dark green chest, light green chest, or if it's just the regular chest, it's this one. It just gets a regular 85 Boba Fett for the label. So that one sold for $250, which is again right in line. And none of them seem to go for more, the dark or the light green. They all go in that kind of $250 range. So you don't have to overpay for any particular variant. This was the red logo Hong Kong AT-AT driver. Again, another very common figure. You could maybe argue it's a little overgraded. I mean, look at the dust and kind of wear around the hand and the knuckle, around this hand, and then also around the crotch area. This does not look like an 85 to me. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. But it's still sold for $222.50. This one did look like an 85, although maybe even not, because it's got some weird speckles on the cheek for this figure, but it got an 85 plus. So 85 plus, flesh face curved eye Imperial Commander. Again, a common Hong Kong figure, but is it an 85 plus? It's hard to say. It could just be dust, but to me it looks like it's got weird paint overspray or something on his face. 172.50 on that one. The China Stormtrooper AFA 85. I kind of talked about this, that maybe AFA grades the Chinas a little looser than they do the Hong Kongs because the plastic quality is different, and maybe even out of the factory, the arms and legs do not match the torso plastic white, bright white. So that one got the 85, but you can see very clearly that the legs don't match the torso. That still sold for $212.50, which is about where it's been selling. Here was a beautiful example of the Hong Kong hard torso Hoth Snow Trooper. This is one I have in my own collection. That one looks pretty perfect to me. I didn't see much that really concerned me on it. Maybe one little dot there next to the nose portion of the visor, but whatever. I mean, I consider that to be an 85. That looks like an 85 to me. $213.50. And the other thing is, I don't know if it's on the figure itself or if it's on my computer screen, because when I open like a soda or something, it always splashes all over my screen, and I probably haven't cleaned this screen in like 4 months. So, you know, sometimes I zoom in on it and it's not there. In this case, there is a little, what looks like a factory overspray or something on the helmet there, but it's still got the 85. Next up, we've got some items from CIB. Really just one, but it's a beauty. This is a no-grade telescoping saber Darth Vader archival case. And the reason it got the no grade is because of the inner filament missing from the double telescoping saber. Obviously, if it had the inner filament, it would get a grade, and it would go for a lot more than what it went for. It's sold for $1,071, which you're really just paying for a standard Hong Kong Darth Vader and a double telescoping saber without the inner filament. Not something I'd pay personally, but you know, if you're into getting a budget-friendly version of the double telescoping saber Vader, that's about as budget-friendly as you can get. A no-grade example, since it's missing the inner filament, and it does have that on the COA. No grade saber is missing inner filament, but outer portion is verified as authentic. So, pretty cool item, and graded in September of 2018. $1,071 again was the final bid. Now, if it had the inner filament and it was an 80 grade, let's say, you're probably talking, I don't know, $4,000 or $5,000, somewhere in that ballpark. That would be a rough guess. We've seen them go for less, though, I think, in some websites. All right. At the same time this one was going on, they had some non-Star Wars items that I wanted to show you just because they were really cool. These are first shot prototypes, so pre-production items for the vintage 1985 Superpowers line. And that's another Kenner line item, or Kenner line of toys. And I don't know about if you guys play with these items, but I played with these all of the time. I absolutely loved them growing up. I guess I was 8 years old, so it was right in the heart of where I would have been playing with Superpowers, Secret Wars, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Star Wars, and Masters of the Universe. I mean, I was playing with all of that stuff back then, everything I could get my hands on, and I was a spoiled little brat, so my parents bought a lot of this stuff for me. So anyway, I wasn't tempted on this one, but I wanted to at least show you the Firestorm first shot prototype. It did come with a COA for all of these items. AFA 80 plus, that sold for $611.77. The Superman had some wear, as you can see, around the hair. So it only got a 70 plus, but it was also a first shot prototype, and that one sold for $990. Obviously went for a lot more money, even though it's a lower grade, because it's Superman. Superman is Superman. You're going to be paying a lot more for it. The Flash was an AFA 85. I'm not surprised that the first shot prototype for Flash was such a high grade, because Flash was one that was also a mail away, and you can get this figure 85 grade today for nothing, for like 15 bucks. It's very, very easy to find the Flash. I don't know why. They just produced this figure in mass and made it a mail away also. So $819 on that first shot prototype. Robin in an AFA 75. You can see obvious wear around the legs there, the quads. Sun's out, or was it skies out, thighs out? This guy has the shortest shorts you can imagine there, and he is ready for the beach or to go to the gym to do leg day. I mean, those are some short shorts. And this first shot prototype sold for $792. $792 on that one. But here's the one I really wanted. This was a first shot prototype for the Joker Oh, I was so... I had this open on my tab as the auction was ending. I was like, don't you do it! Don't you dare do it! And I didn't do it, thank God. But this was a first shot prototype. It's got an alternate color scheme to the hammer, I believe. But this is the Joker. I had this one growing up. I love this figure. It's really reminiscent of the Joker from the Adam West 1960s question mark Batman TV show that I loved growing up, and that was an awesome figure. I had him in the Penguin also. The Penguin was another one of my favorites. 1211 on that one though, so I was nowhere close. I was thinking I was going to bid around 1,000, and I would have been nowhere close anyway. So thank God somebody else bought it. But that was a first shot Joker prototype AFA 85 that sold for 1211. So I don't try to dally too much in alternate toy lines, but I just had to show you those because they were at auction, and it's not often that 5 or 6. Let's see, we had 5 different first shot prototypes for the Superpowers line, all selling in an auction from AFA/CIB. That's all I really had for this video. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.